Hey, welcome everybody. This is Andrew Morgan. Thanks for joining us. And I'm here with a good friend, Luis Alvarez of Alvarez Technology Group. Luis, we go back a little ways.
We do. Yeah.
We've been in the space a long time.
Yeah.
Gray hairs and all to prove it.
Yeah. I used to have dark hair at one point in my life. Yeah.
So, we're here to talk today about vulnerability management. And before we do, can you just tell us a little bit about your company, your MSP? Because I know you're focused a lot on cyber these days.
Yeah, happy to. So we're an MSP. We've been around 20 years. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary technically next February. But during that time, we've grown from a small one-person consultancy, me, to over 30 employees now.
Awesome.
And as we built our business, we went from break fix like a lot of guys, and eventually moved into flat fee services. As scary as that prospect was, it turned out that we did it. I think we learned some lessons along the way, but being a managed services provider and offering your products and services all in one makes it so much easier to work with clients. And so we love this concept. And about 5 or 6 years ago, we started to really see a trend of security being something more tangible for clients that we were working with and prospects that we were talking to. Everybody assumes that if you're an MSP and if I'm a client and I have an MSP, they're doing all the things that make me safe, right? We've learned to have that conversation now to say, well, no, here's what we're doing, and here's what more you need to do, because maybe your industry is your bank, and you need to be more compliant than a manufacturing facility down the road. Cybersecurity needs are not all the same, as we know, but for us, it's been really, we lead with cybersecurity now. We don't really talk about managed infrastructure as much as we used to. Like, hey, we keep your servers up, we keep your PCs running. Everybody assumes that's going to be the case. Apple spoiled the world for all of us when they made products that didn't break. And so now the assumption is, what's your value proposition? And our value proposition is to keep our clients, as we say, safe, secure, and successful, because we want them to be successful so they can continue to grow and we can continue to grow. And we know that cybersecurity is a huge part of that piece of making them safe, secure, and successful.
Well, thanks for that overview. So talk to us about vulnerability management. And if I could just ask, I want to hear it because I know you've been doing it for a while. But talk to us about that. How you're bundling it? Is it part of your stack? Are you using it as a differentiator? Are you using risk assessments? So take it away from there.
Yes to all of that. So. Okay. So for us, we recognize when we started on our cybersecurity journey that patching is something that most people do, but it's kind of like trust but not verify. So you're throwing all these patches out there that Microsoft says you need to install, but how do you know for sure that they're being installed? And what about all those other devices on the network that aren't getting patched? And there's more of them on most networks today than there are actual PCs and servers. So we recognize that we needed to have a solution to be able to go in and scan our clients' networks for those vulnerabilities, so that we can give them an accurate picture of where they were at in their cyber hygiene journey and what needed to be done to correct and mitigate problems. So we started looking for tools. We used Nessus at one point, recognized that was just not scalable or affordable enough for us to be able to use it. And there was a lot of other tools out there. We worked with rapid fire tools, network assessment, and security assessment tool, but that was kind of a one and done thing. So going in once a year and doing a vulnerability scan is next to useless, quite frankly. So we needed something that we could use continuously, that could do daily or weekly scans on networks and do scans on demand if all of a sudden we discovered something out in the wild that we wanted to make sure our clients, didn't have to worry about. So we just incorporated it into our our security assessments for clients that have signed up for our managed security services. And it's now baked into any new client that, we went back to our existing clients and said, hey, we're going to offer this. Here's how much more that's going to cost you. And now it's just baked into whatever new agreements we put out there. We don't even give them an option because it doesn't make sense to give them an option. We just need to be able to differentiate what we bring to the table, the value that we bring versus whoever's coming in behind us to offer, a cheaper alternative of managed services.
Got it. So I'm going to ask you about CyberCNS and your experience, and I'm going to ask you about, as I thought about what you were just saying, the change with COVID. There's so many work from home people now. So you need to think beyond just scanning networks. You've got to think about, how am I going to get everybody that's not on the network?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I love about CyberCNS that we haven't seen in other tools that we've looked at. When everybody worked behind one firewall and you had a probe or an agent that could scan all those devices, that was all well and good. But now you have people that have taken those systems home and are now connecting via VPN so that you can't scan them, or you can't make sure that they aren't downloading something or more importantly, having a vulnerability that hasn't been patched because you just can't get to them. With CyberCNS, you can actually put an agent on all of these devices, no matter where they're at. So it's really a great tool for the new mobile workforce that we now have. That's going to be the new normal. In terms of why we started with CyberCNS, I was really impressed with the roadmap. Quite frankly, we were an early beta adopter, if you recall. And we liked the product right out of the box. It did a lot of the things that we wanted to do. It didn't do some things that we needed to happen, but we knew that was on the roadmap. And I'm glad to say that today it does more than we had even wanted to do, quite frankly. Its integration into things like the Microsoft security score system, those sorts of things are really nice to have in a product where you're trying to provide a comprehensive solution rather than having to, buy multiple or invest in multiple tools or multiple services to try to accomplish the same thing. So, the team at CyberCNS is very responsive to any problems and any issues that we've had. They're, like I said, continuously developing the product, and the roadmap is really, really something that I'm looking forward to seeing.
That's excellent. And, you talk about integrations into your PSAs like ConnectWise and AutoTask, being able to, hook into things like Slack and, all different types of notifications. And then obviously for change management, if you will, and for documentation, that's a big piece of the equation.
Absolutely, especially when you do have something that happens on a network and you have to figure out, how did it happen? Knock on wood, we haven't had to worry so much about it, but we know that at some point, especially if the clients that we work with that have regulatory compliance issues, they're required to maintain these logs. They're required to maintain change logs so that if something happens, the inspectors can come back and say, okay, we want to take a look at that. And we're also starting to see that more from insurance companies, which is really interesting. We think that insurance companies and carriers are going to drive a lot of businesses into enhancing what they're doing with cybersecurity simply to keep their policies. So having a tool like CyberCNS lets us say, yeah, we can do all that for you. Here's how we do it.
That's excellent. So let's just wrap it up here. Would you recommend it, and what would you say to other MSPs that might be?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a perfect product for MSPs. It's built by the community. It's I love the weekly meetups where you can ask any question and get answers. You can submit requests for improvements or added features. And it's, like I said, I've always liked to work with vendors who are partners, not just vendors who are trying to sell me stuff. And CyberCNS is a partner with us, and I would highly recommend them to anybody who's looking to get into the security space.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Louis, and it was great to talk to you. And thanks for your perspective. Really, really well done.
You are very welcome, my friend. Take care.